Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Mike.
Dylan, it's been a while, but, if I told you a bit, do you remember when I told you last time about the technology cooperative?
Yeah. I don't know. It's been a while. I know about the technology cooperative, but
I
don't
know a lot about the technology cooperative.
Catalog every single ad that we do.
We gotta disclose, we've contributed heavily to the technology cooperative. We are, founding members of the technology cooperative and do a lot of stuff for the technology cooperative. The purpose of the technology cooperative is really to bridge the growing digital divide for kids. To give kids exposure and access to technology they may not ever otherwise have. We got lots of crazy stuff that has been happening at the technology cooperative. The big thing that just happened this last weekend, and is also happening this weekend, it's an ongoing thing, is this Earn a Computer program. Essentially, the kids come down, they take 6 classes on a computer. Here's a class where we show them Inkscape and GIMP. Here's a class where here's how you edit in Audacity. There's some basic internet safety classes. There's some office productivity. Here's how you basically, here's how you save your LibreOffice stuff with Microsoft Word, because a lot of times they do use Word and PowerPoint in class. So here's how you can work on your project at home and interop with them. The kids normally at the age that we're working with through Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we are also working in conjunction with our local Knoxville makerspace to teach the classes. I'm teaching the class on Scratch programming. It's kind of a lightweight introduction to programming, just kind of like a sampler course of what you can do with the computer. Here's all the things you can be creative with it and do with it. Once the kids have gone through the 6 classes, they have earned the computer and they take it home with them. They're donated computers that the kids get to take home with them. I think it's real important for kids to have their own computer. I do this with my daughters. It's a computer they can mess up. Granted, my daughter installed a virus on hers this week, and I told her, I told you not to click on those things. You did. I may have to format it, so, you may lose all your stuff. I was able to recover it, but, I felt like I should, scare a little bit there. Don't click on random things. But it's also her computer. It's not like she's messed up my computer and now I can't get ready for my presentation at work the next day and it's just angry and now she's all even, upset and all. It's her computer. In the worst case, she's lost her stuff. But otherwise, do what she wants to do. We've also, of course, we talk about this many, many times, we have the Knoxville Game Design Meetup group meets there, and we have all ages there. Well, okay, everybody's under 40, but we do have very, very young to coming up on 40-ish people. Including, the Chaos Stuff guys who made Evil Quest, and we're in the Indie Royale bundle. So we do that. We split this between a show and tell and a formal topic, so it's kind of cool. Come in, show off, ask questions what you're doing, and we'll expand this more. The latest cool news is that we got a 3D printer at the Technology Cooperative. Basically, a 3D printer is a little device that kind of extrudes plastic. It's like a motorized hot glue gun is a way you can think about it. Except the hot glue gun is plastic, so when it cools, it stays in the shape, a hard plastic shape. And we got that installed at the Technology Cooperative, so that we'll begin to have some classes on like 3D modeling and printing. And what's really cool about this is if you think about all the great software game writers, all the great game developers, and how they all got their start in like the mid-'80s when computers were these very rough and raw things, like anybody who got deeply involved in, very passionate about it because it was this really cool wild, wild west, everything still being figured out. I think 3D printing is that next phase because it's very new and it's a lot of like you have to figure it out now and it's rapidly changing. And I think that the kids that grow up with access to 3D printers are going to be the next great names of like manufacturing or whatever 3D printing becomes, like wherever it settles into. I can't even honestly speculate truly on where it's going. I do not have an idea, but it's going to be crazy because it's a crazy shift in that you can just print whatever now. You know, it's not limited to needing a factory. You know, my kids will have access to one. I've ordered a $1,000 Ultrabot, and you know, Technology Cooperative, that mission, we're gonna make this available to others. We also have, you know, not always the kids. We have a WordPress meetup group. Come talk about WordPress, you know, help get your WordPress site going, plugins, it's for developers and designers both. So lots of things going around. The reason I'm doing all this, of course, is a funding pitch, right? Nonprofit, charity, 503c3, whatever, federal nonprofit. 501c3, thank you. The federal nonprofit, the one you can deduct potentially from your taxes. We're gonna do a fundraising drive, and you can win a Raspberry Pi. So, on my site and on the Technology Cooperative site, and I'll have links to this, but it is techco, techco.org. You can go there and, you know, basically learn how to enter to win a Raspberry Pi, you know, asking for just as little as a $5 donation. And we're gonna have a game night too. It feels good to know that I have looked in the donation log to know that listeners of the GameMarx podcast have donated to the Technology Cooperative. You guys are awesome. It's an excellent community, and I think you got $5, $25. You know, we would like to do more than just, you know, house a space and have a few things on there. The computers that you saw that we gave away, they have big CRT monitors. I would like to be able to go out and buy $600 or $700 Ultrabooks that the kids can take home. Fairly new system, you know, it's worth decent, you know, it's portable, because these kids were working with big brothers, big sisters, they may not always be in the same place, you know, so it's not a burden on them getting it set up. So yeah, you know, all this comes down to funding, and you know, we're two-pronged approach. We're seeking corporate funding and corporate sponsorships. Those take time, though, to get on. You know, you have to be in existence for a number of years. We're going into our second year. We're almost completely through our second year, I think. If not our third, I forget. I think we're coming up on our second.
Yeah.
Because we formed around March or April. The group. So yeah, we're coming up on our second year. A lot of those look for 5-year existence. You know, I understand why. Company looks for them to be in existence for 5 years. We have to get to the 5-year point, you know, to qualify for some of these things. We'll keep plugging at it, you know, but that's what we do. So if you like what we do, if you want to help out, jump on there, techco.org, techco.org. Jump on there. There's a big donate button. If you're local to the Knoxville area, sign up on the mailing list over on the right side of the site, and stay up to news on all the programs that are going on there. Like I said, we'll probably have a 3D modeling program happening soon, and we'll probably also have a Raspberry Pi meetup group going soon, because, you know, as I've been working on my main cabinet, there's some other people in the local area playing with Raspberry Pis, so it'll probably just be a meetup group to get together with our Raspberry Pis and, like, you know, ping ideas off of who's playing with what distro, and etc.
GameMarx.
Welcome to GameMarx, the podcast for Xbox Live indie games and development. GameMarx, where gamers control the means of production.
Alright everyone, welcome to the show this week. Cicely just stepped out, but she is here, and she has promised to say more than 100 words. We will see.
Should we count?
Yeah. It's like a Namo. How do you say that?
NaNoWriMo?
NaNoWriMo.
Except
for like a podcast. And
50,000, like it's just 100.
You could like fill in some words right now. Get a head start.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Numbers count.
It's kind of cheating.
If I had
they
the wherewithal, or if I wasn't going to be doing the
if numbers count, I'm gonna go home and do NaNoWriMo with a
just the numbers of pi.
Like a program. Just like print out these numbers. Go.
If I had the wherewithal, or I wasn't gonna be doing there on a computer, or I cared, I could put like a little counter on our video stream, like when it goes up, of like all the words that she said.
That's
Kinda like
complicated.
the,
You actually have to listen.
Yeah, I'd have to listen.
Very closely.
I'd have to listen back to the show, and I'm just gonna come clean. I spot checked.
Well, I mean,
I was there.
Yeah.
I know what was said. Dylan's here, of course, and I'm in as well. Just a heads up, we're not going to be here next week. It's Thanksgiving weekend. I'm going to be out of town. I don't know what your plans are.
I've not made any yet, but
Not made
soon. Yeah, I guess.
But family. So yeah, so we
Yeah.
might be spotty throughout the holidays. Weekends we have, we'll meet. Weekends we don't, we won't. You know, it is that kind of holiday season where everything gets kind of crazy. At some point, I'm going to buy a shitload of games I'm not going to play on Steam.
At some point, as if it doesn't happen regularly.
Well, it happens regularly. Like I bought the Android Humble Bundle
Yeah.
just to get Splice. Because I heard some good things about Splice, and I saw people playing Splice, and I kind of wanted to have that. And that's just kind of a light puzzle game. I don't own an Android phone that I could run these on. I don't think they'll run on my
You
original
can still get
Android.
these on Windows, I believe.
Yes.
I think all of them
All of them are also available on Windows, except for a couple they added just now. I think they announced
yeah,
that
that's right.
there was one that's like Android tablet only or something. But it was a bonus ad. It wasn't a main game. Most of them I had already. I mean, most of these are desktop games ported to Android. So I did do that. So yeah, I have a lot of games. I've been playing Lone Survivor. I started that a while back, and I'm trying to press through and finish that up. It's kind of creepy. I like its atmosphere. I've been playing it for a few nights now, and I watched the trailer video and realized I haven't seen anything hardly that's in the trailer video. Like, there's obviously a lot more to this game. And I don't know if it's good enough that I'm going to want to do that. Because it's kind of a click and point adventure.
Right.
That is insanely difficult. Like, you save every screen type.
Because if you click the wrong thing, you'll die, or because
Well, you
it's
just go
like-
into another room and you're dead. You know, like, things are jumping out at you. You kind of have to be prepared
Oh.
for it. You know, you can easily get trapped. There's some weird mechanics in the game. Like, if you have your gun out, you can't turn direction. So if two monsters come at you from each side, you're pretty much fucked. Because you'd have to put the gun away, which is one key, turn around, different key, pull the gun back out, and then fire, which is a different key from the pulling the gun out and everything. And
What is that noise?
what noise?
Occasionally, when you start talking, because I've only heard it with your mic, it'll do this little scritch, 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 scritch while you're talking.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't either, but this is artificially inflating
This
word
is
count.
Yeah, I was like, this is why
It
she
is-
doesn't have a lot of word count.
It's not. I was hearing it all through the announce.
Of course, the great thing is, like, you know, you'll go back and edit it and like, oh yes, I see what that is.
Well, usually the weird effects and all that, because the first thing that happens in the process is it records, so none of that's there in the recording. And then it happens from just weird wiring or something set up. So let me see, are you still hearing it?
Not as much.
Do you hear it if I do that? Do you hear it now?
No,
Do you hear it now?
a little.
Do you hear it now?
I can't tell anymore. I'm concentrating too
Is it
hard.
constant or
Yeah, is it a constant thing you can hear it when I'm talking, or no? Do you hear it right now?
better one, better two?
Yeah, better one, better two, better three, better four,
I'm going to just
better
go-
five, better six,
I'm going to slowly make myself
better
drunk.
one, better two.
And then you're going to be down a goodness or two.
Okay. So, the hell was, the Android bundle, yeah. So, I mean, I got a lot of Steam games from bundles like that, but no, I'm talking about, like, Civ 5, Saints Row the Third, Costume Quest, what's the other Tim Schafer games? So I bought like all those stacking and the Psychonauts. There's a couple other, like, I'm talking like major games now
Right.
that have like crazy deals. The Walking Dead, you know, like, so I'm not talking about adding to the collection of indie games that I have on Steam that I don't play. I'm talking about adding to the game of large games that I don't play. So that'll be the holidays. Yeah. So, going on, that's, I've been Lone Survivor. That's kind of what I did this week. It's been a crazy week with, doing the Earn a Computer last week. The weekend, the game design meetup group, the WordPress meetup group was this week for me. Wednesday, I went down to TechCo. We got our 3D printer set up, playing with that, helping getting that up and running. Or I think that was Tuesday night. And then Wednesday night, yeah, I think that was Tuesday night or
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday night it was set up because I got home late. Wednesday night, it was going back, but I took my daughters down there so they can kind of see it too. But I also ran them through the Scratch programming that I'm going to teach the kids in the program. So I just kind of use them to kind of just, test and time myself, to make sure I'm not going over, with that. Thursday night, last night I went to bed at 10 o'clock. I was fucking tired. So this has been a crazy week for me. That's pretty much all I've done. I've seen that you've been you've been creating a shit ton of tickets.
Yeah, I
For
basically...
X-Spriter. I don't know how much coding's been going on, but a shit ton of tickets have been getting emailed to me.
Well, I basically created tickets for everything that I want to do at some point, at least before the binary release. I started working on the bone hierarchies, supporting that, and that's going to be insane. It's going to require kind of changing the whole model of how I'm doing things, because, the basic spriter model that's been supported at this point has been, each sprite is a separate object, and, they have an angle and a position, and, you don't have to do a lot of calculation.
Right.
There was a lot of work trying to figure out how pivot worked and converting their coordinate system to X and A. What I've run into looking at the bones is it's going to make, for example, tweening a little more complicated, because you don't just get the location of each sprite and tween, calculate them out with the bones, like down the bone hierarchy.
Right.
And then tween the locations. You're going to have to tween the location of every bone in the hierarchy.
But that,
That's not a...
when they give you the animation data,
Yeah.
are they giving it relative to the other bones, or are they giving it in absolute coordinates?
They're giving it relative to the other bones.
Okay.
I believe. I'm going to have to play around with it. Like, I got the math worked out last night, but I haven't actually
When I
put
did the 3D
it...
modeling, that's opposite the way the 3D models normally do it. 3D models give all the animation relative to the root, and it's on you, if you're going to runtime modify an animation, for you to get the bone hierarchy, parse that logic, and then reapply it appropriately. Because all the movement of all the pieces are defined relative from the origin,
Right.
It's kind of one baked matrix when it's done. But since this is 2D, I can kind of see that.
Well, and the other thing I think I'm going to do is possibly just make all the bone transforms available at runtime and do all those calculations at runtime, so you can actually go in and, for example, rotate the root node of a bone and, affect everything else going down.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, if you do that, that makes things massively easier for somebody to work with.
It does, but I'm going to have to kind of play around. Like, I'm basically going to have to rewrite huge chunks to support that.
All right, so that's what's happening there. Anything of note, Cicely?
I lost my wolves in Minecraft. I don't know where they went. I logged out and then I logged back in and they were gone.
So Minecraft and Curiosity.
Minecraft did
Gaming is loss.
Well, Minecraft passed some crazy 8 million units on the PC or some ridiculous thing, and they also topped the charts or something on Xbox Live for the first time. I think.
I don't know.
I don't know if that was last week. That might have been the week before. That cannot count Call of Duty Black Ops numbers. No way.
No, I'm just pointing out, though, that you lost your wolves and you lost your
Coins. Yeah.
coins.
My Curiosity coins. Yeah, I'm not playing Curiosity this week. Stay tuned for outtakes if you want to hear that story. I don't know. Were we recording? We were recording.
We were recording,
Yeah.
yes.
Eventually, I shall have more wolves.
Okay, so for news this week, I got queued up some kind of meaty stories here. It's kind of going to be a grab bag of topics. The first one I did, so not all of our content is stolen. And I talked about this in a prior podcast, but this was looking at the effect crazy successful Kickstarters have on editor projects. Okay, so there's a couple things. All right, so there's really three outcomes here that could have. So when Tim Schafer or Brian Fargo or Obsidian Entertainment, they launch a Kickstarter and it gets ridiculously funded, does that A, dry up the amount of available gamer dollars? Like there's some kind of finite pool of gamer dollars out there, and everybody just bought that one, so they're done for the month. Like, oh, I can't do any more Kickstarters because I live paycheck to paycheck, and that was my last $5 or whatever. Or does the number of people new it bring in cause a number of people who only came in because of Tim Schafer and Obsidian Entertainment, but then they look around, or then they see a toolbar recommending some other options, and they click around a little bit, and they back a couple other projects while they're there, but they're generally people who only come in when triggered by an external event, right?
Yeah.
That would get a lot of news press. Or finally, last, does it have no effect? Does it not matter? Doesn't matter a hill of beans. So, the way I approach solving this is I took the 3-week rolling average of success rates of games. So basically, every day, I went back 3 weeks from that day. This way, I could make sure I go back an even 3 weeks so they have the same number of weekends always. Go back 3 weeks and average up the success rates of those games. And then the next day, going back those 3 weeks, again, now I'll drop one day off, but I'll add a day. And then just consider, this as I went through. It's usually, a rolling average is kind of what you do when you kind of just want to normalize the effect of any one day. It's very common in stock market analysis to get an overall trend of the numbers to use a rolling average. And usually 20 is usually what's considered good for a rolling average in the statistics world. So, I mean, I did 21 because I want to make sure the weeks line up. The thing that I plot this against is I do a baseline of what the average success rate is. So I can see if the average is above or below the rolling average above or below. Notice, and that's important to say if that's helping, hurting, or indifferent, right? Because if it's just at, if it's snaking around the average line, then it's not really mattering at all, okay? So you need to have that for comparison. I also looked at the volume of projects. So this all came out to be one very interesting data porn chart. It is kind of a little data porn for some BI people. I will admit that's true. And
Peaks and valleys.
what we have here is a chart that doesn't scroll up. I can't get the bottom of the damn chart on. There we go. So basically what we have here, the purple lines are the big, see if I can zoom it like that. There we go. The purple lines are the big, the big projects. I found these by looking for projects that asked for at least 100,000 or more, and they received 200% or more funding. Because if you ask for 100,000, you kind of get your 100,000. That's not a crazy success story. That's still great. That's still awesome. But I'm looking for ones that did insane multiples of their goal at high levels to try to just say, hey, you guys really drug in a lot of external press and had a really good success rate. So the first one there is Tim Schafer. I think this is Brian Fargo, and then Wasteland 2. And then right after Wasteland 2 was, oh hell, let me just go look. Banner Saga. That's one I couldn't think of. Later, the other big line down here, is the Ouya. console release. So essentially, staring at this chart for a while, like you can look at the Tim Schafer line, and projects that launched right before Tim Schafer did a whole lot better than projects that launched right after Tim Schafer. But that is a single event, and that's not a trend, okay?
Right.
Looking at the other lines, not many of them show a distinct trend. Like, there's a lot that were not meeting, were below before the Ouya launched, and then they were kind of average after the Ouya launch, so it didn't really... And it's not... Like, some of the lines seem to have no relation here. It's not looking very consistent that these projects have an influence. In fact, my ultimate conclusion was that there is no influence by these big projects on Kickstarter. But you can see at Tim Schafer, the gray in the background, if you're watching the video, shows that there was a sharp increase in the number of projects, and it's been high ever since. I dug into that a little more, however. So I basically reran the same chart, but this time I started from May of 2010. I picked May of 2010 because that's when we start having like 15 projects in the 3-week rolling average. So, I mean, when you get less than that, the numbers skew because you don't have a lot of projects to sample. You can see, though, in the months from January 1 of 2012, the months leading up to Tim Schafer's project, which was at the end of February, it was already on an insane climb.
Like, basically, that was Kickstarter taking off.
Kickstarter was taking off already. Now, Tim Schafer may have goosed it to go a little bit higher than it would have otherwise, but that increase is not Tim Schafer. That increase was already happening. We were already trending that way before he did it, and well before. You know, these projects are not ones that were open when he was launching. So, yeah, at the end of the day, there wasn't an influence by the big projects. But, looking at this chart, there is definitely a cycle happening here. There is an oscillation in this chart. There are peaks and valleys. There are definitely good times to release and bad times to release. So, while, the initial theory doesn't pan out, that's okay. The data does show that there is something more to discover here. It may just be calendar driven. I don't know. I haven't dug into this. It may just be
we're still
months that do better than others.
Like, Kickstarter is still relatively new, so we're probably seeing a lot of volatility from, it hits the news, not just one project, but
this is kind of debunking that one project can drive a significant change in the numbers. Also,
now these are these just games, or
these are just games?
Okay,
these are just games. I'm just looking at games. Also, once we hit around 2011, we start to have a good number of projects active at any one time. That data-wise, they start to become significant that you can look into. We definitely have a jump, and we definitely have a growth pattern going on. All of 2011. 2012, it gets really crazy, but it sort of ebbs down a bit. So it'll be interesting when I can compare 2011 to 2012, because I think at that point you have enough data to really start looking at a year-over-year comparison. And then see how these peaks and valleys line up in a year-over-year type situation.
Try to see what may be driving them, basically.
Yeah, and, the goal here is basically, like, if there is, like, a good time to release for, like, a small developer, what is that and why? Pick that out so we could say, hey, as a small developer, you want to launch your Kickstarter in December. A lot of people tend to give to Kickstarter in December. That seems to be, a good time to release. Or,
it's the season.
August or some of the other months. Like, what is driving that? Why is it, because it's not sticking to the average very much. It's up and down a lot. So, other news I've got up. I found this excellent site. It was shared by our Knoxville Game Design group in our Facebook group. The site's called higherorderfun.com. Higherorderfun.com. Not a lot of posts, but really good ones. One I'm not going to get into, but I recommend you read the entire series, is Math for Game Programmers, 101. And I mean, this is just excellent. Like, there's vector cheat sheets in here. Not just how to do the math, but why you do the math. Like, this is going to get the robot to face the player. This is going to, calculate the trajectory of the bullet. This is going to update the animation frame between positions. Just like, here's the math. There's like a good 5 or 6 posts in that series. The other post, which I thought was great, and I'm going to study more in detail and kind of just digest more. It's a long post, but so I kind of gave it the skim over for this, but to get into it. And essentially, it's a guide to implementing 2D platformers, based upon a study of platformers, of like looking at them, picking them apart, and saying, hey, there's basically 4 ways that you can implement a platformer. And he goes deeply into what the 4 ways are, how you would implement them in code, pros and cons, how you handle the collision detection. So some examples here. Number 1 is pure tile based, right? You're either on or off a tile. The entire map is composed of a grid of tiles. The cons of this is that the player is always in one tile or the other. Controls aren't great. That kind of thing. Type 2 is kind of a variant on that, where it's tile based for the map, but it's smooth. Is what he calls it, basically, where the player's sprite is free from the tile grid, and talks about, how you can do the collision maps, and pixel-based collision in these maps is an option. How you calculate, how you cheat some of that, getting into slope detection, and things like that for each tile, and how you pre-calculate some of this stuff. Like I said, it gets deep. He also starts handling one-way platforms, ladders, stairs, etc. in these maps. Type 3 is a bit mask. So on the bit mask tile, I think my thing locked up over here. Let's get it back and forth. On the bit mask, essentially this is keeping an alpha channel that is manipulated in runtime, like over the whole map, of what you can collide with and what you can't, and the tile is just scenery. Pixel collision, heavy does. But in like Worms, if you're gonna have destructive environments that shape the player's ability, it's basically what you want. So he goes again through all that, how you handle slopes and all that, and then the last one he calls vectorial, which is kind of like a braid system. Used it. It's what I've implemented a lot of support for in Xtiled, so that you could do this. So that basically you draw out polygons, vectors, that dictate where the player can't go. Again, the scenery, the platforms are just scenery. And you're really just reading these list of vectors and all there. So he breaks all these down and considerations and code examples and everything. It's an excellent article. If you're doing any kind of platformer, 2D definitely, 3D I think it's worth a read. Higher Order Fun is the blog. We'll of course have links in the show notes on all that. The last meaty article that I have up here was on Gama Sutra. And Rebecca Fernandez did this great blog post on where to sell my games. As an indie studio, what are my options? Where can I go? And spared no expense on this. This is an excellent write-up. So the number one Steam, which she's going to relate all the other ones in comparison to Steam. So Steam has almost 200,000 daily visitors to Steam. I don't know if that's... I think that's overall. I don't think that's to your game page.
No, I wouldn't think so.
The number of games available, how the revenue split is. For Steam example, it's estimated to be around 60-40. The approval method, green light, list pros and cons. Cons on the Steam platform. Works in progress not accepted. Gamers have to have the Steaming client. Difficult times consuming to get on the platform. Of course, the pros are lots of fucking money. They're very indie friendly. Tight quality control. Developers have control over their pricing. She lists like the payment methods too. Like you can have sale, DLC. You can't have in-app purchases. She initially said you can't, but you can. Dejura. I'll just rattle off a couple of the top ones here. She lists about 20, I think, on here. Dejura has 7.5% of the traffic of Steam. Revenue split 70-30. You submit your games after registering, or create a profile on IndieDB or ModDB and hit the publish button. So you just basically outright sale. Pros, working indie friendly. You can do work in progress games, basically alpha funding. Selling your alpha.
Basically like Minecraft.
Yes, you can do the Minecraft model on Dejura. Good admin of the thing. Developers have all control over an article. Cons. Dejura's, you need to have the client, but it's not necessarily true. Somebody updated her and said you can choose to sell direct on Dejura. But basically, the big con is not as many users. But it seems like Dejura is the place that you go.
If you can't get Steam, basically.
Well, even on the way to Steam.
Oh.
I don't know that Steam would say, hey, you're on Dejura, therefore you can't be on us,
Okay.
They cover Indie City, Indievania, Little Indie, Gamersgate, Amawo, never heard of that, Impulse Driven, not heard of these, Beamdog, Gamehouse, Green Main Gaming, Wild Tangent Games, Good Old Games. Good Old Games has quite a large article. Traffic base, 13% of Steam. So that's an idea. Reportedly less than a 70-30 split, but probably going to be in that ballpark. They are indie friendly as well. Cons. No idea how their licensing worked. Never bought a game. I've never actually bought a game either. So a lot of times I've gone to Good Old Games, because they do a lot of retro updates, but never actually bought one. Games must be DRM free on Good Old Games though, okay? That's either a pro or a con, depends on how you look at that. Ranked digital games she covers, Game Set Go, Game Tap, Game Streamer, a lot of those. Now people mentioned, like, you didn't cover Krongate, but, she was looking for, like, distribution. She said that at the top. I don't know if she updated that or she just went back and bolded and basically said, hey, I didn't cover Krongate and flash sites for a reason. That's not what I'm looking for, looking to sell your games.
Places where you can actually distribute a binary release, not just flash.
Correct.
Okay.
And to tail off of that, on indiegames.com, which allows web publishing, Magical Time Being put Soulcaster up there. Soulcaster 2 was one of the Winter Uprising games. Soulcaster, the original one of the better Xbox Live indie games, is available free to play on the web. Basically, Magical Time Being, those guys, also Scapegoat is the other one that they do. If you have not played Soulcaster, it's kind of it's like playing Gauntlet with one player in kind of a tower defense, but real time. You basically, like, you're not necessarily the wizard from Gauntlet, but you have, like, the barbarian and the wizard and the archer. And when you have the archer, you can essentially place him on the map while the monsters come at you real time, like they would on a gauntlet style map. You can place the barbarian. So you place the barbarian in the doorway so he can hold them off, and then you place the archer behind the barbarian to shoot them from a distance, or you exploit terrain. It's kind of a neat little fun game. I think actually it's a lot better with the mouse. I played a little bit of it in the browser, and versus the Xbox console, because you can just click your guy to tell him where to go instead of have to walk him there. He still places the guy where he's standing, so you can't like remote cast a placement.
Right.
But just be able to click there and then hit the placement key worked really well. So I think this worked better in the browser. So they're gonna experiment with just seeing how having a free game up helps their sales on their other games.
Is it actually free? Like there's no ad revenue or anything?
Doesn't look like it. I didn't get bothered by any kind of ad revenue or anything. It's just up there for free. So also a feature of porting it and using Kevin Gadd's JSIL technology allowed them to make this HTML5 version, essentially. So they used a framework and that offered us an option, and they went ahead to kind of experiment with it. So, a lot of news on Microsoft's front this week. We'll choose to start with Xbox Live, 10th anniversary. There's some giveaways. I haven't gotten an email yet, but apparently there's some Kinect games that are free.
Yeah, I've got one on a queue for free. It's free till the end, I think midnight tonight. Racketeer is in America, I think.
Is that a free until tonight?
It's 15th, 16th, and today's the 16th, right?
Yeah. That's not what I wanted.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing any of the free games. I know I saw the giveaways, and I actually got an email.
I've got like 3 emails, and one of them was through the Xbox Live rewards. Like, if you haven't gotten your free game, go get it now.
Yeah.
So you just went into Xbox.com and put it in your queue?
No, I went through Xbox Live rewards, and then I
bet if you go to Xbox.com, you'll get it.
You can probably do it that way. I just clicked it from the email, and then it made me log in.
So, I know, so the Racketeer is a Kinect game. It's kind of a Kinect Angry Birds. So if you have a Kinect, it's worth picking up. I mean, it's not a bad game from what I understand.
Like, I've got it queued up, but it's not downloaded because I don't have enough space up there.
Yeah, with the thumbsticks. Now, we covered last week, they've upped the limit on the thumbsticks to 32 gigs.
Well, then I just need to plug a new thumbstick in.
So we need to go ahead and, just get some new thumbsticks, which of course will mean, like, everything has to be re-fucking activated. Even though your profile is signed in, if you move Netflix, you gotta reactivate Netflix.
Dear God, I think I just want to plug another thumbstick in there. Not deal with it yet.
The slowness in the podcast right now is I'm trying to jump in and see if I can also, because we're a family account, because I didn't get an email, and that would suck ass to get an email, like, after
Tomorrow,
the event.
You put in the wrong password or something.
No.
It doesn't like you.
It didn't like that at all.
I don't like you.
That's spinning. It's going.
Okay.
Eventually.
Yeah. That comes up. So 10 years. It kind of sucks because I do have a 10-year-old account. I had the original Xbox when it came out. I don't know if my account is 10 years. I can't find any way to find out the age of my account. Like, have I managed to keep the same
contiguous
account? Did I update the email? I think I might have created a new account when we got the 360, and used my other email address that I was using then at the time. Alright, let's see. So I'm on that. There's nothing on my page when I log in that says happy birthday 10 years.
There's I think the sweepstakes entry was you have to download a gamer picture or something. That's how...
Well, you said it was an Xbox Live Rewards, right?
Yes.
I'm not downloading any goddamn, like, gamer picture thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you actually have to apply it. You can just download it.
You achieve now receive, where you can enter rewards, get more ways to earn, be social.
And they give you a helmet for your avatar.
Oh, I saw
That's
somebody on
that's
my
a
list
thing.
with that on today, and I was like, "Oh, you did that, didn't you? Oh, fun."
This is sucking, Microsoft, like, to even find all this shit that you're promoting.
It should be readily available.
It is
Yeah.
almost like you have to get the email or something, which seems weird. 'Cause I remember that coming up on Twitter. Someone was talking about the giveaways, and the comment was made like, I don't know how you sign up, but apparently it's happening.
See, no, I mean, the emails came out today, pretty much, right?
No, I got one yesterday, and then I got another one today.
Deleted messages match your search, view them. Thank you for making Xbox Live
That's
amazing.
it. That's one of them. That's the one that came out today.
Okay.
Join the celebration. Deck the details.
Did that have your, this doesn't seem to have any...
Doesn't have the click on it. Let's see.
Your Xbox Live reward statement for October?
Nope.
You got 0 Microsoft points once again. I don't give a shit about this program anymore, honestly.
They used to encourage me to
It says,
take the survey.
your name here, remember when you first joined Xbox Live. So mine says Arcade Draco, remember when you first joined Xbox Live. This
What
was
date did it come out on?
November 15th, 2012, 3:58 p.m.
No. I did not get it.
Wow, it says Xbox Live is 10. Read the thank you letter.
Yeah, I mean, I've got thank you for making
Get free fun.
making Xbox Live amazing. But I apparently...
You did not get the get free fun? Down at the bottom of that one? Mm-mm.
Thank you, seriously, gaming,
Nope, that's not the one. That's the one from today.
entertainment, join the celebration. As an Xbox Live Rewards member, get a bonus entry when you enter for a chance to win the custom bullshit box.
Click on that and see if it'll take you to the page that also has the other stuff on it.
Alright. Well,
If you don't want to enter to win a new Xbox, then why
did
are
you
we
get
doing
it
this?
after you entered? Did you guys both enter?
No, like I got the email, and that that told me to enter.
Let's go see. I got 10 messages in my spam folder.
See if I can find.
None of these.
Great deals and free stuff. Racketeer for free. And God, I hate your mobile site.
Okay, get deals and free stuff.
There we go.
Racketeer for free.
That's it.
Everybody else, Casual Crashers, everybody else wants money.
Reduced, yeah. Reduced, but...
Fuck that. Alright. This is amazing podcast material.
Wonderful audio! Do, do,
Um,
do, 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 do.
You know, it looks like I probably could have just gone to the damn Racketeer page, because it says free. Buy game, free.
I think so, but...
Fuck you, Microsoft. And I'm taking the game. Fuck you, and I'm taking my free shit.
You're not signing up for the free
No,
Xbox.
that's just
title.
an
No.
extra entry into a raffle.
That the odds of winning that is so ridiculously, like, who cares?
That's true.
And you know what I'd do if I won it? I'd fucking eBay it.
Because it would be like the special edition
Yeah,
version, and
yeah.
someone would want it.
Does it even have a hard drive?
I think.
Or is it a 4 gig edition?
That would be terrible.
That would be
That
terrible.
would be terrible. Like,
But that would be the shit.
special edition can't run
that,
much, but
Alright.
I would set it right
I
next
now
to my...
own the Racketeer. I haven't hooked my Xbox up in like 3 months. It's been sitting on the floor there
Collecting
since
dust.
my Pi took over. I need to get that hooked back up so I can start doing game development again. Okay, moving on. There was a great story on Game Industry Biz. Rob Faley had this great article of a decade of Xbox Live. Must face its biggest challenge. This entire article is basically saying Microsoft needs to clean up the cesspool that is the Xbox Live community. You know, like, you have to take ownership of that. You have to get in there and clean that up. And it can't just be a abuse reporting system. Like, I think he mentions, like, League of Legends. They allow people to vote other people up and have some kind of awesome currency for being good people. You know, hey, this guy was great. You know, give him some points. He was awesome. And so, like, you can't just punish the bad. You have to incentivize the good behavior as well. But Microsoft, you got to rethink this. And you're going forward, your next console, you have to fix that. Like, that is not acceptable anymore to just say, you know, online interactions not rated. It's like, no, you pretty much cannot allow a child to go live on your console. That's a problem. I think it's a really well-written piece, really good article. I'm in agreement. They do need to take some responsibility in better policing it. Because right now, it's like YouTube comments, right?
Yeah.
It's just the absolute cesspool.
I've honestly not played multiplayer in a long time, so I don't know how bad it is.
You don't
but
play multiplayer unless you know everybody.
Yeah.
And that...
It's really kind of pointless.
Yeah. I mean, I go on... I don't even have my speakers hooked up anymore. Like, I'm not going to chat. I'm not going to participate. I used to. I used to get on there, you know, I think it'd be cool. Back when I played Mech Assault on the original Xbox. And it was bad even then, like some of the comments even then. But at least then, it was like an actual, like, 12-year-old kid trying to act big. Now, I think it's like 40-year-old men acting like dicks, you know? Everybody does. So, they need to fix what is wrong in that system that encourages that, you know? And if removing the anonymity, yeah, if removing that as part of the equation, then do it. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem if you want to go online on the Xbox. People are going to know who you are. Your email is there, you know. And if you don't want that revealed, don't go online or play only private games with your friends. But reveal some degree of I know who you are now, so that you're less likely to act like a dick because you're not anonymous. It's like if you give a troll an audience and make him anonymous, that's all he wants in the world.
Well, and I think
and you have a huge fucking Xbox Live audience, 24/7, and he's anonymous for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, and I think 10 years ago, there were more privacy concerns. People were more worried about, like, revealing your actual name on the internet is scary.
Right. And I think
now everyone's
also,
online. You know, you've got things like Facebook and Google Plus.
There was also a trust in humanity 10 years ago, too, that it would not actually probably ever be this bad.
Yeah.
Like, you would have a few fringe cases, but we'll just ban the fringe and take care of it. It's like when Ultima Online launched.
Right.
A few people will bend the rules of the game. Not the game will be overrun with griefers, you know?
What I mean is we're in a better position, I think, for people to accept something like, you know, their real names or something non-anonymous.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And I mean, again,
this.
It's an opt-in system. It's like, hey, if you're going to go into this match anybody match or not match against your friends match, just know, you know, they'll be able to see some information about your profile on that. I don't know. I don't know what the answers are, but Microsoft needs to start working on that and come out and saying, you know, that it's not acceptable. It's like if you're out like lifetime banning people because they've got an early copy of Halo 4 and not lifetime banning for racial and homophobic and
all, like,
yeah,
when they did the spotlight, Wombat got on it one time and he recorded some of the crap that he did, and I listened to that. I'm like,
when there's death
would you want that?
and rape insults, and that doesn't earn you lifetime bans, but having an early copy of Halo 4 is like, that really just kind of shows you the greed involved, right? I mean, it really just comes off looking like, oh, well, of course, that affected your profits. So you did something about that.
Yeah. Well, I suspect part of that, too, is it comes down to he said, she said at that point. Like, basically.
They should have the fucking logs.
I know, but it's probably more complicated
And
for them
also,
to do that.
I bet you it's not
It's
a
not
case
that
of
complicated.
this one time, this one guy. I bet
I agree.
In fact, there was a video.
Also, I suspect they would also, like, the chunk of people that they would lose if they started lifetime banning would be just...
No, I think there would be a severe punishment that would curtail the activity.
Oh, I think it would curtail the activity, but I don't think they want to lose, like, that portion of their user base.
If that's what it's become, then I hope the Xbox fails.
Well,
I mean, if it's become like the only people who are keeping this live are the worst of the internet,
I don't think they're the
are
only
the
people
YouTube content. I mean, if that is such
alive.
a big revenue stream from that behavior, then I hope you fucking fail. You don't need to exist.
I know so many people who have
And
gone
it's
silver
probably not
just
that at
because
all.
they don't want to deal with those people.
It's probably not that at all. It is probably a very, very vocal minority that have no punishment. I mean, there's no punishment in the current system for them. I bet you when they get... In fact, this was confirmed. The guy that was the head of this, when on that video we talked about last week or the week before with Anita Skarsgård and interviewed in this Canadian, they had the head of the Xbox Live division, or former head. And he talked about how it's never a gray area. It is never a gray case. It is, as soon as we look into that player, it is obvious. That's all
from
they
do.
From the logs, from the complaints, from the feedback, all the time. And once I get the complaints and it's that bad, all I gotta do is listen in. If they're not recording it for playback later, because they're not keeping that data, all I gotta do is listen in. But it's the willingness to commit some customer service representatives
basically
to that. And I think they have to do it. I think he's right in this article. It's like, no, if you're going forward now, you have to grow up. It's just kind of like, again, it's the flip side of like where industry solves industry problems and they don't give a shit about the common person. But it's like where Google and YouTube had to grow up with the piracy. Like, you can't just say, we have a report infringement button. Like, I have to side with the content producers of bullshit. You have a rampant amount of piracy on your system because you're actively allowing it to happen. You're allowing it to go on, and you're trying to, like, clean up afterwards, and it's not cleaning up 1/10 of it. And then eventually, Google puts in systems that, curtail it quite a bit. And they're finding their balance. They gave a lot of control to the content publishers, and the content publishers proved that they are dicks and they will abuse it as well. And so now YouTube's policy is the content publishers have the control. They can block my clip, and as soon as I hit challenge, YouTube says file a DMCA lawsuit, or we make it public and shut the fuck up. If you're not willing to do a digital millennium right copyright takedown notice, because at that point I have legal recourse if they're doing it incorrectly. Right? So if I put something up and it's fair use, or
put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, I can use the Digital Millennium Copyright Act for somebody that has issued a false takedown claim, and do that. And also, it kind of is a nice check and balance. It's like, you guys have our content ID system. You get alerted to potential matches. You're supposed to review them and apply it appropriately. If you don't, you're going to get smacked legally. You will open yourselves up to some legal hurt. Like, we got a takedown notice on one of our GameMarx videos, like episode 70 something, and the company that did it, like, first of all, there's nothing in here to take down, and I think the only thing that we did in that video, we played like a web page, and we played like the audio clip or something in the web page at that point.
I remember you talking
For like
about
5
this.
seconds, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't much at all, and we're talking over it and all that, and we're discussing the news article. And the thing is that clip, that thing, the company who hit the takedown notice, they had no rights to that. That was not theirs. And what I didn't like about the process was they also did not tell me explicitly what they thought was infringing. And so when I filed back the dispute, I was like, there's nothing infringing in this, and nothing has been claimed to infringe. You have to come forward and state something. Because this is an hour-long discussion video, so you have to state something. And at that point, they dropped it. And they're doing it because they would get to put ads up. That's all I wanted to do is put ads up. I did get a copyright notice on the 3D printer that I put up today because I was putting it together really rapidly, and I used Windows Movie Maker, and I wanted to take out the audio from the clip. So I was stringing together like 4 iPhone videos that I had taken. I wanted to put in quick transition, strip out the audio, and just to cover it up, I threw in a music track, and I threw in one of the stock music tracks that comes with Windows and the music samples.
Right.
And the guy that owns or that put his music, I think this is kind of a dick move on Microsoft's part a little bit, of like, you put it in the sample music folder, you open it up as soon as I hit Windows Movie Maker, add music, and it's like, oh, here's 3 files you can use. I put it in there, and then I found online, like, Microsoft didn't license that for anything. It's just like kind of like, oh, we distribute this other thing, but they own the rights to it and everything still. We just kind of paid them to distribute it. I mean, I get that, but he put it up there. But then that guy's on there on YouTube, just like taking control of videos and putting his ads up on those videos. I think he's pissed me off enough the way it was kind of handled, the practice of it. It's just kind of bad taste in my mouth. I'm gonna go grab some of our stock royalty-free music, replace the video, and upload it and tell him fuck off. You know, replace your music, fuck off. You do no longer have a copyright claim on this video, it's gone. Anyway. The next version of DirectX is going to be a Windows 8 exclusive. So DirectX 11 was part of Windows 7, but I guess the DirectX 11.1 is what they're calling it, is going to be Windows 8 only. In related news, no major AAA studio announces support for DirectX 11.1. How can they fucking do this again? They did this with Vista. DirectX 10 shipped only on Vista. Every game studio went, well, we kind of like selling copies, and that kind of means supporting XP, so we will be DirectX 9 only. I don't even know if you can get DirectX 10 at this point. You know, it kind of just fell off the face of the earth. Why they're doing that again, I have no clue. It seems to be the dumbest thing that they could possibly do.
They're a Hydra.
Well, what does 11.1 give you that 11 doesn't, I guess? Like, if it's a major step forward and game companies see that they can sell it to...
The next release of the API, native stereoscopic 3D support, so nobody's going to give a shit about that. That seems to be the only point that, yeah. I don't see any other bullet point listed here, so there might be some other things in it. I mean, they are calling it 11.1, but it's... I don't know. Whatever, Microsoft. Speaking of Microsoft, big news this week. Sinofsky steps down. Title of the article. Bullshit. Fired. I mean, really, he came out and had a one-sentence, taking time off for personal reasons, you know, all that shit, like that shit the politician says, you know, I'm out of the race for personal reasons. Like, no, you got caught sticking your dick in like 3 women. You know, you're unelectable. You're not stepping down for personal reasons.
You're stepping.
I guess
you're stepping down.
Your penis is quite personal. Yes, those reasons were quite personal. But guess what? They're not personal anymore. They're quite public now. And that's why you're stepping down. Sinofsky, reputedly, you know, giant asshole to work with. So there's either the... Okay, so I do not believe this has any reflection on Windows 8. It's just too early. Even though Windows 8 isn't like taking off like a rocket. Even though they're already spinning numbers of like, we have 3 million or 5 million or whatever launched copies of Windows 8 running now. You know, we're so huge. It's like, why don't you say you have like 1% of the Windows install base running Windows 8? Because that's a very different number.
Yeah.
You know, 3 million sounds great until you realize, like, that's
just
nothing.
How many people run Windows.
Yes, exactly. You got a Christmas cycle to get through. You got an OEM cycle to get through. give this 6 months before we're gonna, like, be able to start making firings and reorg positions and people blamed for a failure and all of that to happen. So this is not that. This was probably very planned ahead of time. It was just basically like, look, we're gonna ship this, because we're not gonna, fire you before the launch, and then when we fire you, we're gonna say, well, that's the perfect time that I would step down, because I have to step down between product cycles.
Right.
That's pretty much what Ballmer said, and then they each had like one sentence, talked about how they love the other guy so much, and, loved my time at Microsoft, and it was the best time of my life, goodbye. And it's like, yeah, that is such bullshit. It will be interesting to see where we go from here, though. If the rumors are to be believed that Sinofsky made it difficult for anybody to work with anybody else, and it was us versus him on everything, if that element is gone now, if that truly carves out a lot of it, with the exception of probably the sales team, if you ever wonder why Microsoft marketing is so bad, they can get away with murder, because that's where Ballmer came from. That's his crew. That's his posse. When the sales marketing people want to do something, he's got a sweet spot in their heart, because that's what he did. He led that division, right?
Right.
Except for them, if this kind of equalizes the rest, this might be a good thing in the long run. This might shake out some of the insanity. I'm not saying like it's going to get so awesome as to like, oh, Silverlight and XNA are back and they're mainstream and all of that. But we might have a better, clear message going forward. We might get rid of some of the fragmentation. Because, a lot of the device fragmentation was basically down the lines of whether or not Sinofsky controlled it or not. Sadly. And he didn't control the mobile yet, so they ran a different operating system. So hopefully that could get their ducks in a row. We'll see how that goes. It is pretty big news, though. That is pretty much a bombshell. Did not see that one coming. Proof that you mouse just right off XNA. You can win the opportunity to be mentored by somebody, blah, 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 by making games for Windows 8. And in this competition, it is a UK-only competition, and I'm reading this off the XNA blog, they basically say, make your games in XNA for Windows 8 and port it by using Monogame.
Really?
Yes.
How do you get the clearance from the guys upstairs to say something like that?
I have no idea. Like, this is so crazy. Now, I'm clicking through to the UK MSDN blog post of the guy who's running it, who's some Microsoft something or other guy. The comment is great. I love the comment. So, the subtle suggestion here is that XNA is dead, and we should abandon using XNA for something else in order to make it to the Windows Store. The guy can't just come out and say, well,
Yep.
yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
It doesn't support 2012, Visual Studio, it's this other thing, it's legacy. No, what does he come out and he says? We have already stated that XNA is no longer supported for developing Windows 8 Store or Windows Phone 8 apps. See this article. However, we are supporting it Windows 8 apps for 7 Phone X. See this article. However, too many howevers here, dude. You can use Monogame to wrap existing XNA assets for the Windows 8 apps and see the tutorial and the 3-step guide that we linked above. And there's already some, Monogame titles in the Windows 8 store, such as Armed.
I guess they're trying to convert, like, the XNA community over to, Windows 8, but it just seems
that's
like...
not the way you do it.
No. It seems like you're working outside of your company. Like, the XNA team has gone rogue.
I think most
is promoted.
I think most developers would be like, if they went ahead and say, yes, that technology is dead, would be like, okay, thank you.
Monogame it is, then.
Well, even then, then it, calls the question, what's Monogame's future? Because Monogame has to have a future outside of XNA.
Well...
if it's going to evolve and continue to develop...
Right.
Now it's just got to become a C-sharp engine,
Well...
Also, probably gives Monogame the license to just go off... don't bother implementing the things that you don't have. Like a content pipeline, some of the audio systems and all that. You don't have to be feature compatible now. You can bring over your own implementations of cross-platform systems and just say, yeah, well, XNA is dead. So if we're going to move forward, we're obviously going to do things that XNA never did.
Right.
I think that would be nice. Last Microsoft article, a bunch of Black Friday ads, some interesting ones. If you want to get bloody on Black Friday, go to Walmart. There will be an Xbox 360 4GB console with a Skylanders exclusive figure, and the dock for $150. So people are probably going to break bones over that one. Best Buy, Fry's, bunch of others. Newegg will have an Xbox 360 with the 250 GB hard drive and Skyrim and ports of 4 for $200. That's a pretty damn good deal. My advice, if you're going to grab an Xbox 360 console, is remember you need a hard drive to do XNA development. XNA Connect Studio will not work on a thumb drive or internal memory unit. I know this from the $50 one that I got.
Yeah. I think it's just insane to do that anyway. To go
I'll keep an eye out and see if anybody has a deal on a hard drive for that one. You know, if somebody has like a reasonable $30, $40 for a 250 gig hard drive on an Xbox, I may go ahead and say, all right, we'll jump on that, solve all the damn problems we have with that one. Plus, it gives a second test unit in the house that we can do network testing with. All right, Unity 4. So if you just want to say, like all this Microsoft crazy mono game porting bullshit, get Unity 4. It's out now. It's a thing. It's official. You can buy it. I'm still kind of disappointed in Unity in that the forums are full of, I love Unity. I love the cross-platform. I want to use Unity. It's great. I want to make a 2D game, and I don't, all these like hack ways to set it up are kind of pains in the ass. Now there are some people selling like some Unity plugins to the Unity store that seem to have some traction and be spoken of quite well. And there are tutorials out there on to doing it, but I'm kind of disappointed at this point that Unity hasn't acknowledged that pretty popular request at this point, you know? I mean, really, Unity not having a 2D built-in native 2D mode is kind of what kept us really from like diving in deep. You know?
It seems like they're trying to be more of a high-end 3D engine from a lot of the marketing that I've seen.
But most of the Unity games that you look at are pretty much hacked 2D games. Like all the successful ones, if they're in any 3D, and let's be honest, if you don't need 3D, don't kill my fucking iPhone battery. Curiosity. You know? Like,
doesn't that need 3D? I mean,
No.
it's a cube, it's not a square.
No.
Could be a square.
If it could
It
load
needs
all
it,
of the cubes.
But, like, it needs it so rarely. Like, it needs it to spin the cube from the outside view, and that's it. Like, when you're down there, popping the virtual
Select a
bubble
face,
wrap.
go.
Yeah, like, it should be 100% 2D at that point. Like, just get out of it. The phone gets so damn hot when you're running Curiosity. Nintendo are selling an app in the App Store. They are selling a Pokédex. You can buy it on the App Store.
An official Pokédex?
Yes, this is official from Nintendo. They're in a subsidy, because basically the Pokemon Company is its own LLC owned by Nintendo at this point. This is their second app, okay? They released a free one. This is their first paid app that they released in the App Store. How much is it? It cost 170 yen. So I have no fucking clue what that is.
Couple dollars?
In real dollars. But yeah, a few bucks. That's not a bad idea. A Pokédex on there. It will be interesting to see if this leads to, like, games by Nintendo put into the App Store. If that happens, I mean, this is already a pretty major shift. It will represent kind of a major shift inside of Nintendo as far as, like, how they view the ecosystems and when handheld is going. Like, I don't expect them to start releasing, like, Mario on the Xbox, but it's pretty clear, like, the 3DS is not denting, like, the mobile iOS market is going to kill handheld consoles. It's going to kill the handheld market is pretty much dying out now. Get an iPhone, get an iPad mini now. If it's almost like you're sitting on money, Nintendo. If you put out an iPad version, an iOS version
I would
of
play.
Pokemon,
any of the colors on my
You would
iPad
have the most successful Pokemon to date.
ever.
Because just the online component alone would be insane.
Then you wouldn't
Yeah.
have to actually understand how the internet works, Nintendo. You
Yeah.
would just use it.
Nintendo's getting rid of the codes though in the Wii U. I'm no longer
I will believe
078513.
when I
And the
see
code
it.
works per game.
Yeah, the code.
It's not just it's a really awkward system.
But
Go to Go to the iPad, people.
Spyro 2, they wouldn't piss the saying on the Unity story that they wouldn't add 2D because they would piss the add-on people off.
It might be.
I don't
true,
know. Well,
but-
that might be true. Maybe they're still a decent company. At some point, you get to like Apple, and you just like take the most popular app and you fuck them over, and you build it in. You know, like podcasts. You can now. Their app is kind of shitty, honestly.
Yes.
But why would you buy a podcast downloading app now? It's
unless
built
you
in.
needed something specific.
Yeah, unless you were really crazy specific. But the market for that dried up. Obviously the whole cut and paste thing.
But I imagine if they integrated it, it would be much easier than if you had to use a plugin. I don't know. I mean, maybe the plugins are pretty
But back on
slick.
Nintendo,
Yeah.
they already have a rich fucking catalog of touch games because they had the stylus on the DS.
Yeah, I mean, dump the gimmicks in hardware, dump like a lot of the crappy third-party games, and, give us the first...
Well, the
Yeah.
third-party games like Scribblenauts, they're already there.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I mean, yeah, but so many of there are a lot of third-party games that are not...
I think
not
that more
so
has to do with Nintendo or dicks with third parties.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, like, their
they want to
first-party
change that with
stuff...
the Wii U, but we'll see.
They'd basically be getting rid of a lot of the cruft, and I would assume their first-party titles are what would make tons of money.
Now, I did hear this week on another podcast that Nintendo has like some kind of war chest of $13 billion in the bank.
Wow.
So any kind of like
Or at least they did it
3DS or
much.
Wii U is going to kill Nintendo.
No.
No.
They're not Sega. This is not a Dreamcast.
They
going
learn
on.
from those mistakes. They're like,
They've
let's not do that.
they've kept some money aside, so they're good for a few console generations. Nintendo though delays Nintendo TV. So basically, this was supposed to be available at launch to Wii U, and this was going to be the Hulu Plus and the Amazon and a TiVo app and the Netflix app and all of that stuff. Maybe December now? I have no idea how they fucked this up, but that's
Maybe they did.
really got to suck ass. The launch is officially Sunday. Sunday units are going out, people are going out, and it's like this launch feature not there. Expect talk of class action lawsuits and somebody to start a petition on petition.org.
That seems kind of odd, though. I mean, that...
That it wouldn't be available?
Well, no, I mean, at this point, it is Hulu and Netflix are kind of standard things. They're across Xbox.
Odd
across,
to
yeah.
launch without it?
It really sets them back, but worthy of a class action lawsuit?
Oh, no, I'm just... The internet, man.
Oh,
The internet will...
the internet
Rage.
makes all things
Yeah, I don't mean
crazy.
like a real class action lawsuit. I mean like
Rage.
the troll rage and forum rage of like, I'm going to sue, you promised me this, and I pre-ordered, and therefore I am entitled to everything. And it's like, yeah, you're not entitled to shit. You're not, nothing. Return your console.
Because it would be that same price even in December. So.
I was listening to the Tested podcast, and Norm on the Tested podcast said, like, his interest level of playing the Wii U was only if his roommates bought it, they had 4 friends over, they needed a 5th, they had the game up and running, they called him down from upstairs to come play, and they let him use the new tablet controller. Only if all those were true was he willing to play a Wii U game, but if not, he didn't give a shit.
I think it would depend on the Wii U game.
Yeah,
But-
probably.
For me, at least.
So, Hulu launched a video game hub. This is not like play video games.
Right.
This is basically Hulu launched game trailers. right? Bunch of trailers you can watch.
Considering they do movie trailers and ads,
Yeah,
that's
so they
not-
kind of made like you go to hulu.com/video games is how you get there. They got trailers. They're supposed to have like gameplay footage and things on there, but I didn't see any of that. What's sad, on multiple levels, is they have a bunch of clips, not episodes, clips from X-Play on the homepage of hulu.com/video games. Sad on a couple levels. One, you don't have the whole episode. I have to watch like 3-minute clips.
And two, that's all going away.
That's all gone. And you're launching it new. So, good on you, Hulu. Stay relevant. I did hear that CBS broke down, and they joined Hulu. Finally. They were like the holdout. Like it was ABC and Fox were already there, and NBC, I think. They were all into Hulu, and CBS was like, "Oh, you have to come to CBS to watch our shit." And I heard that CBS finally like relented on that because they realized like, no one's coming to your site to watch your shit. Everybody goes to Hulu. There's more than enough there. So there's a lot of back catalog stuff. I don't know if CBS is doing the most recent stuff or if they're still trying to hold that on their current site. Also, they did some dickish agreement where the CBS content is only available for Hulu Plus members. Which
that's weird because usually
seems like it's going to upset the apple cart, and Fox and ABC and NBC are going to be pissed.
Yep. Or it may mean that they just don't get a lot of traffic, and they end up having to be free.
Last bit of information to cover here tonight. Oh, excuse me, is this Kickstarter. So I'm not like doing the full Kickstarter gamut yet. This week was crazy busy, didn't get back into the swing of re-architecting this section. But this retro game crunch, this is kind of a novel idea. These guys are up to 18,000 of 60,000 requested. I did back this project. So these guys have a slightly disturbing, not quite funny video. But they have made some indie games, and won some accolades, and, basically went to a, contest, and they entered a game, and it won, like, second place, and then the guys in the Gaming Jam weekend continued to, work on it for a month, and really polish it up and put it out there. And so what they want to do is they want to release 6 games in 6 months. Spend the weekend, concept it, prototype it out, put the prototype up for the backers to play, take in all the feedback, and then make the game, and at the end of the month, you got the full game, Also, there'll be like a spitballing part on that weekend as well, to where like, in the forums of like, hey, this is kind of topic we're going, some ideas and all that, and then they'll kind of like spitball and roll it up. They're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, is where they're located. So, we might make an effort to get down there and, do an interview or something. I would like to. And I kind of like the idea. It's kind of a different approach, and, I backed it because it's like, hey, you're gonna get like 6 little mini indie games, and I want to watch this process. I want to watch this, I think this is a good way to do the, allow the community to influence the game design. Because you don't want, like, Brian Fargo to be influenced by the community, because it's like, no, you want what fucking Brian Fargo does, because he's, this awesome game designer. We're paying him for his shit.
It's almost like you're not buying this for the games, you're buying this to, I don't want to say performance art, but it is kind of like you're buying the concept, the process.
You're buying the experience.
Yeah.
That's a lot why I backed it. I'm kind of backing it for the experience. I want to see how successful it goes. It's only $25 to get all 6 games. $15 will get you 3 games. Both tiers get you the other game that they talk about that they made, using this method. I think it's a good approach. It's interesting. It definitely is something different, and I wanted to reward that and think that was, creative. So, that's all I got. That's everything I got. Did you count your words? Did you get over 100, Cicely?
I'm pretty certain I did.
Okay. Well, YouTube comments, they will count. They will let you know. we will not be here next week. It's going to be Thanksgiving weekend, so we're going to be out of town. Cicely and I, his family, low-key, take some time off. Everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for everyone who tunes into the live show. Thank you for those who watch us video or download the audio podcast. And we will be back in 2 weeks.
You've been listening to GameMarx. Visit us at GameMarx.com for the latest news, reviews, and videos on indie gaming. That's GameMarx.com.
And I will try to get my word count up above 100.
What? Oh. For the show?
That one made me laugh.
That's not as good as David.
Which one?
You remember David, God, he does all the videos. David,
What? No.
No.
he does the tech podcast, Technology and Friends.
Giard.
David Jahart, yeah. David Jahart going like, she was there the whole time?
Wow.
Ugh.
That's harsh. Did someone say something and I just missed it?
It was comments on the
Yeah, on the YouTube, I think.
YouTube channel.
Okay.
Because I just have that go to my little GameMarx folder in Gmail, and I'm just like, hee hee, that's funny.
Oh. Alright, tweet sent. You can actually retweet this week, Dylan.
Yes, I can.
Welcome back to the world of the modern.
Yeah, but it's a world where I don't, like, my battery does not last all day. Especially now that I've got 4G.
Oh, yeah. So, I was going to
Turn
ask
off
that, because I
Wi-Fi
know...
and it'll last longer.
I remembered you got a keyboard, so you didn't get the Nexus 4, because that doesn't have a keyboard, yeah. But apparently the Nexus 4 doesn't have 4G?
I don't know.
Why would you do that? Why would you call a Nexus phone?
Or
Like, why would you, okay, so you have an Android phone, it's not 4G, big deal. But they called it the Nexus. It's the Nexus, that's supposed to be like the top of the line, always the latest, and
Yeah.
like the previous ones had LTE, so...
I don't know.
4. It should have 4G.
I don't know. I still haven't actually downloaded Curiosity yet. I actually haven't, like...
I'm kind of fucking over it. I lost 400,000 coins. And that's enough. I mean, it's like... I understand the rat pushes the lever, the rat gets cheese. But, like, when the rat has, like, 400,000
Was it because of one of those
cheese that
disconnections?
disappear, fuck pushing the lever anymore. I'm done with it. I'm leaving the Skinner box. Skinner box vacancy. You can move in.
You no longer Schrodinger's cat?
That's not Skinner
Why
box.
did you lose?
From their fucking server restarts and resets and shit.
Okay.
And this is, like, recent. This is after all the rollouts and the updates
But the
fixing all the
coins don't mean
problems.
anything.
No, they mean a shit ton, because I was past the first tier of pickaxe. So basically, the best strategy that I can imagine, like if you want to get the last hit, save all your coins so that you can, when you get reasonably close to the end, buy the massive pickaxes so you can up your odds of getting that last hit. So I felt pretty good. I had earned a $300,000 axe. The next pickaxe is million, 3 million, okay? And then 3 billion, for the final one. But I felt like, great, you know? But after losing that many coins, then I was just like, I mean, basically, I'd never lost coins up until that point, so that was my entire playtime. And it fucking lost, like, everything. Like, my stats are all reset, where I had, like, everybody else, like, the average person was doing 60-some cubelets a day, and my average was like 300 cubelets a day or something. Like it was orders of magnitude above everybody else's and all that, you know. So like all the numbers, all the Skinner box design of giving me all the little data feeds and all the little things, they were all like in my favor, and it fucking lost all that. So there's no interest. Like I can't do it now. Like I go back.
It's like Minecraft was for me the first time we reset the server. Was like, oh, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I've lost all that work, and I just can't dive back into. And it seems like the rate of clearing the cube is sped up.
I mean, I guess it would make sense as it goes
smaller,
as it gets
more
smaller.
people come in.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's getting smaller. It does not look any smaller.
Maybe they just
other
zoom in.
I
I
tried
don't think
chipping
so.
the edges to see if it's actually getting smaller, right? If you chip an edge, it should remove two sides, right? And it's not doing that. I don't know if that was a lag thing or something, I couldn't tell, but there was no way to verify that it's actually getting smaller.
I think somebody's.
The one
crunched
thing I
some
did
numbers or
notice
something.
is that the cube is inside of a box. Maybe it's us. We're what's inside the cube. We're already inside of the cube. And Molyneux is mining us.
I would say that was a revolutionary, deep way to think about it. Except I was the one like, Molyneux is trying to get a bunch of people to click boxes. You know, I was already there.
The funny thing is the haters, not from like mine, like I fucking lost my coins from a bug and I'm out. I'm talking about the people who are like, that's not a game, how dare they, you know? There was some indie startup weekend thing going on, some game jam, and they made like this app, they called it, or like some spoof of Curiosity. They called it an app because they're like, it's not a game, and they were trying to add like game mechanics to like make it an actual game or something on there. And I was like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I mean, really, like, it's clear that he's hit something. It's really popular. Don't be that hipster douchebag going like, well, that's not a game though, you know? It doesn't meet my arbitrary definition of what a game is.
Yeah.
If somebody's
Or is
sitting
it
there,
giving me money?
if somebody's sitting there playing the app and having fun, you know, it's been described as digital bubble wrap, right?
Yeah.
That's a game. You make up a game in your little mind of how you have to pop them. Like when you pop bubble wrap, I don't know if you ever do this. Do you?
Yes.
Okay. Like, I get really fucking anal. I have to methodically pop them in order, in a pattern, right? That's my game. I have made it a game. That is a fucking game, okay? It still is a game. It's not fucking chess,
No.
but it is a
You can't
game.
lose. But see, and this is interesting because I actually sat down I was watching Netflix. I think I'd burned through my Hulu queue, so I didn't really have anything to watch, like anything that was right there pressing. So I'm like, I haven't watched Indie Game the movie. It's on Netflix. I watch it.
You didn't watch it that time we did it for the... Were you gone that week?
I think I was gone that week,
Ah.
but I generally liked it. Like the guys from Team Meat were awesome.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's generally
Everyone,
a good,
like-
uplifting... It's a
but like
good
some of the
feel-good
people were
story.
just like angry, and like there was this whole thing about, well, I hate Halo and I hate all. It's like, okay, fine, like be indifferent to it because it's just pointless, but hating it, like Curiosity, I don't care.
Right.
If you care, Molyneux wins.
Curiosity is not keeping you from playing Call of Duty.
Yes, or your favorite indie game, whatever, you know, your artsy,
Halo
whatever.
is not fucking over Braid.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. I think we talked about it a little bit last week. I think the person who chooses, like, an Android or an iPhone, although it really doesn't happen, there's not many people who choose Apple because they hate Windows. I guess there's some. There's got to be some, right?
I think the person who chooses Mac or Linux because they hate Windows is more of a thing than
I can see that in the
iPhone.
Linux community. Like, you know, there's more of
Yeah.
a hate of Windows in the Linux community.
No, I think
But it seems like a smaller percentage of the people who are Apple fanatics are fanatical Apple because they don't like Windows.
Not because, but it kind of like it. Somewhere along the line, the two marry themselves together, where you're like, do I love Apple or hate everything else?
But-
I can't tell.
But in all groups,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big contingent in the Apple group, but in all groups, there are people who are solely on that platform, talking about that platform in context of how awful the other is, how evil Apple is, how awful Microsoft is, how dare, Linux is a UI piece of shit, whatever. I think they're worse than the fanboys who love their technology, no matter what Apple puts out will be the greatest thing, because at the end of the day, at least the fanboy genuinely loves what he's getting. Whereas the hater boy, right, he doesn't really necessarily like, or, the Android interface or the latest UI on Apple, but he's going to talk about it, how better it is than the rest. He doesn't have, like, true joy, like that the fanboy guy has. They're both, like, extremes. That. They're both like, I'm not going to take your opinions as valid, right, because you're biased, but I think at least the fanboy goes home at the end of the night, like, loving his delusion, whereas the other guy is going back, he has this delusion of hate. It's like the light side and the dark side of the force. You're both delusion religious of hate, zealots, but you're on opposite sides.
Well, the problem is, I think in reality, those two things get blended a lot, but you're right. The person who starts out as a fanboy loses something whenever the other side is, capable, thought as being capable of anything. Anything is good about Sony or Microsoft or Apple or whatever. And yeah, it is at some point all about just like, you're not happy unless your chosen, not if your chosen platform is better, if every other chosen platform is worse.
Right. It's Skycake. Have you heard that?
No,
the Patton Oswalt Skycake thing. That's with religion, but it's like, I can't enjoy Skycake if the Sky Cookie people are here as well. Like, Skycake only tastes good if the Sky Cake people burn in hell.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense for...
And forget it if the Sky Brownie people are there.
So, this album. I'll talk about a Kickstarter today that led to this. This album was a Kickstarter, backed by the guy whose Kickstarter I looked at. Like, I kind of looked at what he backed, and he backed this Pretty Hate Machine, is what it's called. A chiptune version of Pretty Hate Machine. Actually, in the comments, he had like a thing where he got an email from Trent Reznor. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool, I think he just paid for the mechanical license.
Mechanical license?
I think that's a term given to you can create and sell a recording that is your own original creation. So it's different than other license because you're not copying a performance. So it's really like licensing from the composer. Okay? So if the composer of all the songs of Pretty Hate Machine gave him rights, he doesn't need the rights of the label because he's not copying their work, okay? So it's called the mechanical license, right? So, but that's a licensing agency you can go through. It's not cheap. It's up there. But yeah, you can go in there and mechanically license. So I saw his Kickstarter, and I was kind of checking it out, and then I went to, I saw a thing where it said, like, oh, I'm blowing up on Bandcamp. I'm like, number 4. This is crazy, right? And then I went to Bandcamp, and I started playing the album. And I'm like, this is not bad. I mean, and again, granted, I am, kind of a fan of the chiptune, so have torrented a shit ton of OCZ. To the point where now I don't even go to the folder anymore because it's just way too much to, like, manage, I shouldn't have just downloaded everything. I should have, like
you all the zipped files there
yes,
are just like
collection 1.
I don't want to organize this.
Yeah. So, and now I have, like, a crap ton of Mega Man and Final Fantasy music. And Chrono Trigger. Because, like, those seem to be the most popular on there. So there's like 8 remixes of all those songs, and it's like, well, I get tired of listening to those. Even the Mega Man 2 song remix, like, gets old after a while. Then while I was on Bandcamp, it's like the album is going for $6.50. I mean, I'm playing through all the songs, and I'm going like, oh fuck, here's $6.50. You know, just give me this as MP3. And I go down. While I was on there, he also has this other album called Retro Covered, which the first track on there, start playing it now, is the theme from the Transformers chiptune.
Wow.
This is the tale of the snake eating itself, right here.
Yes, yes it is.
These are two things in the 80s that existed independently, now brought together. So not only to have that, but he had a lot of other covers on there. I ended up buying this album too. The guy's name is Inverse Phase. I put him in the tweet, and I'll probably like link it. Even though this will be an outtake stuff, I'll link it. But then he also had like other 80s songs remixed as chiptune. For example,
I don't recognize it yet.
there you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Not all from the 80s. Not all from the 80s. And this actually, when I got to the third song, I hit the buy now button. So this is the one that made me buy it.
Wow. That's a thing.
He went in my file of guys I would like to contact to do music if we ever finish a game. If you're a fan of the Cars, and I am a huge fan of the Cars, both 70s Cars and 80s Cars, though I can respect if you only like one or the other.
I don't know. I probably have most, based on what I've listened to and like the radio stations I've listened to, I probably know more the 70s than the 80s.
Yeah, 80s was very pop for them. They got very pop, very MTV-ish. What else is on here? Little YouTube.
Wow.
So yeah, that's Inverse Phase, pretty 8 Machine and retro covered. Highly recommend them. If you're into chip, you're doing pretty well. Alright, I think it's time we kick off the show.